This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing in the Mishnas Sofrim, and I'm going to start off Bershus Reb David Hirsch, the author of the Per Halacha. We were zeichet to hear Divrei Chizuk from him, and just want to take a minute of his time. Want to show how we learn every day. This is how we learn. We put up the Mishnas Sofrim. We put up the Per Halacha, and this way everybody could see the diagrams. So, Bershus Reb David Hirsch, and also officially asking permission to be able to, have this copy up from the Sefer. We begin Ois Nun. Ois Nun, Kefufa. Okay. Yasa Roisha Kamoi Roish Hazayin. The head of the Nun should be like the head of a Zayin. So, if you look in diagram 1, the top of the Nun is similar to a Zayin. It has the same head, which is squared. It has the Tagim on top, the Gimel Tagin Aleh, V'lo Yoiser, and not more. In other words, V'lo Yoiser Rochav Me Rosh Hazayin should not be wider than the head of a Zayin. If you look in diagram 2, in the blackened part, if you make it wider, then it will look like a base. So that's not similar to a base if it's a little bit wider. Again, Rabbi Hirsch, it's really, I shouldn't be speaking in front of you, but, we're just Laman to give you some nachas de kedusha. Okay. Umitamze yasa gamkein moishava lamata mashach l'tzad small. For the same reason, you should make the base below drawn out to the left side. So that is in diagram 3. You should make the base of the nun sort of drawn out to the left side more than the head, so that it doesn't look like a beis and a chaf. A yoisem and harosh kadei shlo yizdam lebeis or chaf. Meaning, in other words, you don't want it to be parallel to the top, because if it's parallel to the top, you may think it's a beis or a chaf. This way, the bottom is a little bit longer than the top is. The neck that's drawn from the middle of its head should l'chachila be a little bit wide, like you see in number 5. Here, let's make it a little bit bigger. So you don't want the neck coming out of the top, again, which looks like a zayin. You don't want it to be just like pinpoint. You want it to have some body to it. The aruch ktsas, and a little bit long, umuta l'tzad yamin, right? They changed the girsa here, and that goes to tikunim. It's tilted toward the right side. Kedei lahasmech ois eitzel roishai. So basically, the bottom protrudes more to the left, but the top extends more back to the right. And this way, if you needed to get a letter on top close to the nun, you have room to do that. You want the nun on the bottom to be rounded toward the right side. Okay. Im asa hanun kefufa lemala Tzuras vav. Let's say the nun above you made instead of like zayin. So zayin it's squared and the neck is coming out of the middle. But what if you made it like a nun where the neck is coming out of the right end? So then hiniach ha prima gadam b'tzarchian. That the prima gadam leaves as a tzarchian because it doesn't look like a zayin on the top. Instead, it looks like a vav. V'hiviyai hagon Rabbi Kiva Eger b'chidushav, and Rabbi Kiva Eger brings this prima gadam in his chidushim. Uminachlas David v'simin chav gimel mashma de kasher b'diavad. From the nachlas David, it's masha b'diavad, it's kasher, but the prima gadam is not so sure. The levush is also mashma that it would be okay. Why? At the end of his listing of the tmunas ha'oisios, he lists those items that are ma'akeh b'chalois. He leaves out, he does not write that if it's a vav on the top of the nun instead of a zayin, it's pasul. That implies that b'diavad it would not be ma'akev. V'al kalpanim. Nira Pashat, the Afladasa Prima Gadim, Mahani Tikon, that even according to the Prima Gadim, who is Masupik whether you're yotzei or not. So you think, well, if you're Masov yotzei, how could you fix it? Why? Even tefillin and mezuzos. Isn't it going to be shaloi kasidron? No. What do? Here, interesting eitzah. What you do is, smile, like in diagram 8, so you have a full nun, like the nun that appears in 7. You're going to scrape off a little bit of the left side, but v'loy harbe, not too much. You want to leave a little bit of the head, and then, so not like in bays, and then you're going to add a little bit of a head to the right side. So this, I think we would understand, this is not chayk tuchais, because you're not creating a letter by scraping. You're still going to be moisif to the guf ha'is, right? You're just scraping so that at the end of the day, it's a balanced head on the top. So this is not an issue of chayk tuchais. Kadeshi yishar adayin tmunas nun alav. You're going to scrape just a bit so for it to retain its image of a nun. Then you'll add ink to the right side. In order to make it like the head of a zayin. So you say, what do you need to scrape? Just do like in diagram 9. Just add to the right side. No, it's going to be, the head is going to be wider than a zayin. It's not proper to do this. Canal, like we mentioned earlier. So, right now in our show, we're not doing every bir halacha. Be'ezus Hashem, it's like a school for arichas yamim. The next cycle, hopefully, we'll do more. By the way, Rabbi Sai, it's a good thing to learn the ois nun now. So for you in Eretz Yisrael, for Rabbi Yeager and Rabbi Hirsch, you need to know about the nuns for this week's Parsha, no? From Bahaloischa. You need to know how to make the upside down nuns. I'm not sure if the upside down nuns is a mamish exactly like a nun just upside down, but you need to know about the nun. And for us also, we got a little bit of a jump start. We got a jump start on the nun. Fine, that's the nun kefufa. If you don't mind bearing with us, we're going to do the nun Peshuta. Tzuras ois nun Peshuta. Look, we came prepared. Next page. That's page 305. Okay, ois nun Peshuta. Tayar Tzuras Kamay Zayin. It looks like a Zayin. V'gimel Tagan Arosha with 3 Tagan on its head. Ach Shehi Aruka Kishir Shaterui Leyasis Nun Kefufa. You want it to be long enough that you could take the bottom and bend it, that it would be a Nun Kefufa. So the length of it, it's the same length as a Nun. It's just the Nun Kefufa is bent, and this is Peshuta. Not less than 4 hens worth. So, Rabbi Hirsch, maybe you could help us out with the kulmos. The kulmos is what? The width of the pen? How do we explain that?
It's, if you look at the beginning of the Sefer, Os Aleph.
I don't have it on my screen. I see in diagram 7, Oive Kulmos, Nikra Roichav Hakav. Hayotzim in Hakulmos Kishu Kaisev. So Kulmos is
Picture number 7, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the width of the Kulmos. Width of the Kulmos. But when I did it, initially I had it perpendicular. How they write slight angle.
Say that again. I didn't. It was a little choppy.
The picture number 7.
Page
the Kulmos is at an angle.
Right.
So that's how they write. It's not really the thickness. It's a little bit thicker than a Kulmos. Right.
1 second.
That's called the Kulmos. Ovi Kulmos.
The Ovi Kulmos is what comes out of the pen when the pen is held on a bit of an angle?
Yeah, because that's how he's writing.
That's how he's writing. Okay. But if he would hold it straight, then it would come out even thicker. Or no?
It'd be narrower. No, you're right. It would be thicker.
It would be thicker if he would hold it straight. So Mole Komas is in the way that the okay. Now, is there an objective standard, or if a sofer has a thicker komos, then everything has to be lefi that, and if it's thinner, or there's a specific measurement komos?
Well, there's no. They used to make nowadays. They start using metal colmos and plastic. They used to make with a feather. When I learned Sofris, you made with a feather, turkey feather. So it was different every time. But try to make it so it fits in nicely with kasaf, with the sirtut on the cloth.
Okay, so the length of the nun, the final nun, is 4, not less than daled kumasim with its gaga. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, perfectly in the grid. V'masar kitsara, if you made it too short, like in diagram 3. So now we have a question. And maybe it resembles a zayin. You bring a kid, an average kid. He's not too smart, he's not too foolish. If he sees it as a zayin, it's possible. What if you didn't put the line in the middle, but rather you put it on the end? Now it looks like a vav, arucha. You would think that's for sure puzzle. I mean, if somebody made instead of a zayin, he made a vav, it's puzzle. So why would this be any different? But maybe because there's only one choice here. When you see it long, it's a final nun. So it's just you made a final nun like a vav. So the Prima Gadim is mesupeh, achshar achroinim, the Sharafraim, the Ganamelch, hiskimo bezel psol. That if you made a long vav instead of a long zayin, it's not going to be good. Okay, Rabbi Sai, thank you very much for joining us today. We thank Rav David Hirsch for joining us 2 days in a row. What is the chus it is? And we really get tremendous hana from your sefer. Thank you very much. Tiskel mitzvahs. And we're giving you a little bit of time till we get to Erevin to help us out. Okay, it should be b'siyata d'shmaya. Many, many more.
Yeah.
Okay, have a good day, everyone. Kol tov. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I think the difference between...
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.